I was blindsided when my wife told me to leave for her new man. It was as if everything we had worked for, everything we had built together, suddenly crumbled. She wanted her freedom, wanted to be free of me, free to do whatever she pleased without any responsibility or commitment. I just nodded and walked out. But before I tell you how it all ended, you need to understand how we ended up here in the first place. You need to know where it all began, because this was a slow unraveling that started years before either of us realized. Lori and I didn't just fall in love overnight. We grew up together. Our families were close, and we spent so much time together that it felt like we had always known each other. She lived just 3 houses down from mine. If you've grown up in a small town like I did, you know the kind of closeness I'm talking about. We started dating when I was 18 and she was 16. I had just finished high school and was figuring out my next steps while she was still in her junior year. We were each other's first real relationship, and at that age, when the future seems endless and full of possibilities, our love felt unshakable. At 20, we got married. I know it seems young to some people, but at the time, it felt right. We were all in, and we truly believed that love was enough to carry us through anything. We figured things out together, and there was something special about that struggle. Not long after our wedding, we had our first and only child, a son. Becoming parents at a young age wasn't easy, but it brought so much joy and fulfillment. Our son became our world. We worked hard, took on whatever jobs we could, and leaned on our families when times were tight. But through it all, I never doubted our love. We were in sync. Our families were there for us, and I thought our foundation was solid. Those early years felt full of love and purpose. Even though we didn't have much, we had each other, and that felt like everything. As time went on, our marriage had its ups and downs like any relationship, but we always worked through it. We had disagreements, but they never felt extreme. Life felt good for the most part. We were growing, learning, and facing the challenges together. Financially, we were doing better. We weren't rich, but we weren't struggling anymore either. The best part of our lives, though, was watching our son grow up. As he went off to college, that's when things started to change. For years, everything had revolved around him. But once he was gone, I realized there wasn't much holding Lori and me together anymore. I still loved her deeply, but after so many years of focusing on everything else, I felt like I was trying to rebuild a relationship that had been quietly falling apart. I wanted intimacy again. I wanted us to find each other again, to go back to the days when it was just the two of us in love. But that wasn't something on her mind. Instead of coming home and talking like we used to, she started spending more time away from the house. There were vague excuses, late nights, and sometimes she didn't even tell me where she was going. I thought maybe she just needed space. Maybe she was trying to rediscover herself after so many years of being a wife and mother. But the distance between us only grew with each passing day. Then one night, I came home early and found Lori passed out on the couch. Her phone was beside her, screen lit up in the dim light. I picked it up and saw she had the Tinder app open. She was chatting with several men, each showing interest in her. My heart sank. I didn't know how to react at first, but I knew I had to confront her. I needed to hear the truth from her. When she woke up, I asked her about it. "Lori, what is this? You're on a dating app, talking to other men. What's going on?" But instead of admitting what she had done or showing any remorse, she snapped at me. "Why are you looking through my phone? That's an invasion of privacy." She didn't apologize. She didn't show any guilt. She was angry with me for finding out, for trying to understand what was happening between us. And that's when I realized she didn't care. She didn't care about me, about us, or about the years we had spent together. I was left standing there, trying to process what had just happened. Despite the hurt, I still wanted to fix things. I suggested couples therapy. I wanted to believe we could rebuild what had been lost. But Lori didn't even respond to that, didn't acknowledge it at all. I reached out to her mother, hoping she could intervene. I told her how bad things had gotten, how distant Lori had become, how she seemed completely disconnected. Her mom promised to talk to her, but nothing changed. Lori continued doing whatever she wanted, and I kept trying to make sense of it all, hoping for some miracle that would never come. I didn't want to involve our son. He was busy with his own life, his own career, and I didn't want him to feel like he had to take sides. So I kept it between Lori and me, trying to deal with the mess on my own. But one Thursday evening, I had a feeling to come home early. I didn't call ahead. I just showed up, thinking it would be a nice surprise. The moment I walked in, something felt off. The house smelled different. As I entered the living room, I saw 2 wine glasses on the coffee table. Just then, Lori walked in from the hallway. She wasn't surprised to see me. "Oh, you're home early," she said. I kept my voice steady and replied, "Should I have called first?" She didn't miss a beat. "Wouldn't have changed anything," she said. Then she handed me a folder, divorce papers already signed. I stood there holding the papers in my hands, unable to process how we got to this point. "Who is he?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. She shrugged. "Does it matter?" There was no guilt in her voice. And just when I thought it couldn't get colder, she said, "Don't delay. Sign them and move out. My new man is waiting." I didn't say anything. I just walked to the bedroom, the divorce papers still in my hands, and all I could think was, how did we get here? That night, I realized the fight was over. I tried not to cry, but I couldn't help it. After everything Lori and I had been through, so many years, so many memories, all those sacrifices, it ended like this. This was how it was ending. Eventually, I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. I explained everything, told him I needed to move on, and that he'd handle everything from here on out. As we began the process of figuring out who gets what and where, I made the decision to leave. It wasn't long before the rumors reached me. Lori was already seeing a younger guy. Some even said she had been seeing him before I moved out. I didn't ask for the details, and I didn't respond, but it hurt. It wasn't long before our son found out about the divorce. I didn't want to tell him, but he asked questions, and I couldn't lie. He spoke to both of us separately, and after hearing everything, he made his decision. He told me he loved his mother, but he couldn't respect what she had done. He said she broke the family, not just by leaving, but by how she handled it all. He told me, without me asking, that he was standing by me. That meant more than I can put into words. After the divorce, I went through a quiet period. I wasn't interested in dating or jumping into another relationship. It wasn't because I'd given up on love or didn't want companionship, but because I was still healing, and I didn't even realize how broken I had become until the noise of that unhappy marriage was finally gone. I avoided dating. Not ready to be that vulnerable again, but I kept in touch with a few female friends. Meanwhile, Lori's life didn't go the way she probably imagined. Over the next 2 years, she went through 4 different relationships. The first one was with a younger guy, then a couple more with men closer to her age. They seemed promising at first, but always ended in disappointment. From what I heard through mutual friends, these men weren't looking for anything serious. At least not the kind of serious Lori wanted. It became obvious that she was searching for something she had with me. Stability, trust, consistency. But that kind of bond doesn't appear in a matter of months or even a year. It takes time, honesty, and the willingness to work through tough times, not just walk away when things get hard. While I was slowly learning to live again, Lori seemed stuck, trying to recreate something she had willingly thrown away. Then, out of nowhere, just as I was starting to open up emotionally to someone new, Lori reached out to me. The woman I was becoming close to was actually a widowed friend of Lori's. Strange as it might sound, she had been a steady presence in my life during my healing process. She didn't rush me, didn't try to fix me. She just listened, and that brought a comfort I hadn't felt in years. One morning, I woke up to a message from Lori. It was short and honestly unexpected. She apologized for how everything had ended. She didn't ask to get back together, but she expressed a desire to reconnect. Not as husband and wife, but as 2 people who once meant something to each other. I thought about it for a while, but in the end, I replied respectfully. I thanked her for the apology, which had been long overdue, but I told her I couldn't go backward. I had come too far emotionally to open a door that nearly destroyed me. Not long after that, she tried to involve our son. She reached out to him, probably hoping he could be the bridge between us, but he refused. He told her plainly that he couldn't be the middleman in something that had hurt me so deeply. He had seen firsthand what that divorce did to me and had already made up his mind to stand with me, no questions asked. That, more than anything, meant the world to me. By then, I had already started something new, something healthier. And while it wasn't perfect, it was real. I wasn't about to mess that up. It took me a long time to reach a point where I could talk about my past without feeling the weight of it crushing my chest. But now I can say this with a clear heart. I've moved on, and I've done so in peace. Eventually, I found myself talking more and more to someone I had known for years. She was Lori's widowed friend, the one who had always been quietly kind to me. While everything around me had felt like it was falling apart, she remained steady. We reconnected not because I was looking for someone to fix me, but because she accepted me even in my brokenness. Our relationship began slowly, and honestly, that's exactly what I needed. When Lori found out I was dating her widowed friend, she wasn't happy. I suppose part of her expected that if I were to move on, it shouldn't be with someone that close to her. But by that point, I didn't owe her any explanations. She had made her choices, and this woman, the one who had stood by me when I was at my lowest, had become my partner. I wasn't looking for someone to replace Lori. I was looking for someone who made me feel safe again, and she gave me that without asking for anything in return. As for Lori, I don't carry hate in my heart. I hope she finds the stability she's been seeking. I truly do. But that stability won't be with me. That chapter is closed. I gave everything I could to that marriage, and when it broke, I walked away with my dignity intact. I'm not looking back anymore. My eyes are forward now, and I finally feel free.